Hi, good morning and welcome to the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha television, where we get to you all the top stories that you might have missed during the night and also the stories that are likely to unfold in the day ahead. I'm Ashwarya Kapoor. Let us start the news bulletin with the headlines. Heavy rains and high-speed winds lash Odisha as very severe cyclonic storm Titli makes landfall near Gopalpur. 3 lakh people in low-lying areas and 5 districts evacuated. 15 NDRF teams deployed. Schools, colleges shut. Candidates contesting polls will have to advertise their criminal antecedents on television and newspapers at least 3 times during electioneering. Election Commission directs parties to publicize criminal records of their candidates on their websites. Universities and colleges cannot retain original documents of students at the time of admission. UGC warns institutions will be penalized for non-refund of fees if admission is withdrawn within a month. Penalty includes withdrawal of affiliation and deemed status. External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj to attend a 2-day Council of Head of Government meet of Shanghai Cooperation Organization in Tajikistan from today. Meet to focus on boosting cooperation in fighting terror. China hints at discussing sanctions threat by the US. And shooter Saurabh Chaudhary wins gold in the 10 meters air pistol event at ongoing Youth Olympic Games in Buenos Aires. Archana Kamath settles for bronze in her table tennis singles match playoff. India have 9 medals so far in the tournament. The biggest story this morning, a severe cyclonic storm Titli has made landfall near Gopalpur in Odisha early today. Heavy rains accompanied by high-speed winds are lashing several parts of the state under the impact of the cyclone. IMD predicts there would be flooding and trees, electric poles have been uprooted in various places of Behrampur and Gopalpur in Odisha. Road communication in some parts were also snapped. Meanwhile, the Odisha government has geared up its machinery to tackle the situation. The state government has already evacuated over 3 lakh people living in low-lying areas and 5 coastal districts. It has also ordered closure of all schools, colleges and Anganwadi centers today and on Friday in view of the IMD's forecast of heavy to very heavy rainfall across the state. Of the 15 teams of the NDRF, 13 have been deployed along with the Odisha Disaster Rapid Action Force at vulnerable areas, while Gopalpur in Odisha reported surface winds at 126 kilometers per hour. Kalingapatnam in Andhra Pradesh recorded wind speeds of 56 kilometers per hour. And on Wednesday, Cabinet Secretary P.K. Sinha chaired a meeting of the National Crisis Management Committee in New Delhi to take stock of the preparatory measures in the wake of the cyclonic storm Titli. All right, let's get all the ground updates. We have with us Mr. H.R. Biswas, Director of Meteorological Center in Bhubaneswar, joining us on the phone line. A very good morning, sir, and thanks so much for joining us. Sir, Cyclone Titli has made landfall in Odisha near Gopalpur this morning, and we understand that the landfall is to continue for 3 to 4 hours. So what can we expect in the day ahead?
Actually, center has already overland. It is crossed Andhra Pradesh and South Odisha coast near Palasa. Palasa is in Srikakulam district in Andhra Pradesh and to the southwest of Gopalpur. And crossed as a very severe cyclonic storm, and estimated wind speed was 140 to 150 km per hour and gusting 165 km hour. And crossing time was 04:30 to 05:30 am today, 11th October. And this total landfall process will continue as you told, that because our convective cloud mass in rare sector still it is in sea, some areas. And Gopalpur in our observatory maximum wind speed reported 126 km per hour at 04:30 observation. After that, wind speed gradually decreasing, and it will also gradually decrease. And it is expected that the very severe cyclonic storm will become cyclonic storm so at evening time. And it will recurve also, and it will move along Odisha coast towards West Bengal. And today we have given the forecast for coastal Odisha districts and adjoining interior Odisha districts, heavy to very heavy rainfall at a few places with extremely heavy rainfall. At a few places also, mainly Gajapati, Ganjam, Puri, Raigada, Kandaman, Kalahandi, Noyagad districts is extremely heavy rainfall. And Gajapati, Ganjam, Puri, Raigada, Koraput, Kandaman, Kalahandi, Port, Bolangir, Jagatsinghpur, Kendrapada, Khurda, Noyagad, Kotok, Jajpur, Dhenkana, Longol, Bhadrak, Balasar. These districts will receive the heavy to very heavy rainfall at a few places.
Right.
And today,
Titli has been called as a very severe cyclonic storm, and we understand that the people in low-lying areas have been evacuated. But what is the kind of onslaught that we are likely to see in the coastal areas of Odisha and also northern Andhra Pradesh today?
Today, actually, there's very heavy to very heavy rainfall. Mainly rainfall activity will and extremely heavy rainfall activity, and also wind speed will be also there. Afternoon, south coastal Odisha and adjoining interior districts of south interior Odisha, adjoining coastal districts.
Right.
So this district also will have some wind speed also, because it remain cyclonic storm up to evening hours. So 60 to 90 kilometer wind speed also there in the interior part, adjacent to the coastal areas.
Right.
And after that, when it will decrease, then afternoon to night time, the wind speed may decrease, but 50 to 60 kilometers per hour may be wind there,
Right.
and north interior districts adjacent to the coastal district.
Right, sir. So people in coastal areas of Odisha and northern Andhra Pradesh really preparing to face the full onslaught of the cyclone. And we understand that all the schools, colleges, as well as Anganwadi centers and all the 5 districts of Odisha are closed today. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us and giving us all the updates on cyclonic storm Titli. And on to some other news now. The Election Commission has made it compulsory for candidates contesting polls to advertise their criminal antecedents in television and newspapers at least 3 times during electioneering. According to the directions issued on Wednesday, political parties too will have to give publicity to the criminal records of candidates fielded by them. Now, this means that candidates and parties contesting the elections to be held in Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, Mizoram and Telangana in November-December will have to publicize the criminal records. Candidates who do not have records have to mention that as well. The candidates will now have up to fill up an amended form. They will have to inform parties about their antecedents, such as the cases in which they have been convicted and also cases pending against them. The Election Commission said the parties will be obliged to put the information about the candidates on their websites, and parties which fail to comply face the prospect of getting their recognition withdrawn or suspended. The poll panel's directions are based on a Supreme Court order. And the polling for the second phase of a local body election took place in Jammu and Kashmir on Wednesday. A total of 78.6% of over 1.28 lakh voters exercised their franchise in Jammu, while there was a low voter turnout yet again in Kashmir, with 3.4% of the 2.2 lakh electorate casting their votes. The second phase witnessed an overall voter turnout of 31.3% out of the total electorate of 3.47 lakh in the state. The Election Commission officials said that the overall turnout in 2 phases was 47.2% in the state. The low voter turnout in Kashmir was in tune with the meager 8.3% turnout in the valley during the first phase of polling, when the Jammu and Ladakh divisions had witnessed over 65% of voting. The second phase of polling has sealed the fate of 881 candidates, while 4 candidates have been elected unopposed in this phase in Jammu region. Municipal elections covering 79 local body bodies are being held in 4 phases, and the counting of votes will be taken up on 20th of October. And in a meeting chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the Union Cabinet approved a productivity-linked bonus for almost 12 lakh non-gazetted railway employees on Wednesday. The Cabinet also gave its permission to shut down loss-making Bioco Lorite Limited after several attempts to revive it by the Petroleum Ministry failed. Here's a report.
The Union Cabinet on Wednesday sanctioned productivity-linked bonus of 2,044.31 crore rupees for 11,91,000 non-gazetted officials of the Indian Railway. Stating this, Union Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad added that each employee will get about 17,951 rupees.
देश के 11.91 लाख नॉन गजेटेड रेलवे एम्प्लॉयज़ को हम 78 डेज का प्रोडक्टिविटी लिंक बोनस देने जा रहे हैं देश भर में, जिसका टोटल कॉस्ट होगा 2,044.31 करोड़.
In another major decision, the Union Cabinet approved the merger of the existing National Council for Vocational Training and the National Skill Development Agency into the National Council for Vocational Education and Training. The institutional reform is expected to improve quality and market relevance of skill development programs.
The Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs today has decided to close Bioco Lorry Limited, a Group C CPSU in the Ministry of Petroleum, and giving voluntary retirement scheme and voluntary separation scheme to the employees of the company. ये कंपनी फाइनेंशियल स्ट्रेस में बहुत वर्षों से है. इसको रिवाइव करने की हर कोशिश नाकाम रही.
The Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs also approved the proposal to shut down the Kolkata-based Bioco Lorry Limited. This comes after the failure of several attempts by the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas to revive the loss-making company. The Cabinet also approved the closure of the National Jute Manufacturers Corporation Limited and its subsidiary Birds Jute and Exports Limited. Panchanan Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And after petrol and diesel, the government has cut excise duty on jet fuel to 11%. Excise duty on aviation turbine fuel has been reduced to 11% from 14% with effect from 11th of October. Jet fuel prices this month hit their highest level since January 2014. The fuel in Delhi currently costs 74,567 rupees per kiloliter, and in Mumbai it is priced at 74,177 rupees per kiloliter. ATF prices, which currently are cheaper than petrol and diesel in Delhi, have since July spiked up by 9.5%. The aviation industry has been seeking lower taxes to help offset the impact of high oil prices. ATF, like petrol and diesel, is not covered by the goods and services tax regime that on 1st of July last year amalgamated 17 different central and state taxes. And senior advocate Tushar Mehta has been appointed as the new Solicitor General of India. His appointment was approved by the Appointment Committee of the Union Cabinet. Mehta has been currently serving as the Additional Solicitor General. He will now serve as the Solicitor General till 30th of June 2020 or till further orders. The post of Solicitor General was vacant since October last year after the resignation of Ranjit Kumar. And the Reserve Bank of India will inject 12,000 crore rupees into the system through the purchase of government bonds today. The move will inject liquidity into the system through purchase to meet the festival season demand for funds. Here are all the details.
The Reserve Bank of India will inject 12,000 crore rupees liquidity into the system through purchase of government bonds on Thursday. The auction to purchase government bonds is part of the open market operations to manage liquidity in the system. As part of the OMOs, the RBI will purchase government securities maturing in 2020, bearing an interest rate of 8.27%, those maturing in 2022 at an interest rate of 8.15%, in 2024 at 7.35%, 2026 at 8.15% and 2030 at an interest rate of 7.61%.
This is a very timely move and a very good move because market is facing huge liquidity crunch and mutual funds were finding it very difficult to sell their government bonds and securities, and they were selling it at a very lower price. So with this, I think some liquidity will come into the system, and those mutual funds who had the liquidity or redemption pressure, so they would be able to unload some of their securities through this means.
The result of the auction will be announced the same day, and payment to successful participants will be made during banking hours on October 12th.
RBI has all the prerogative to accept the entire, whatever is available for purchase. They can reject, they can accept. So it is practically 100% at the prerogative of RBI.
Open market operations help manage liquidity in the system. It can be used to either inject or drain liquidity from the markets. The RBI uses OMO along with other monetary policy tools like repo rate, cash reserve ratio and statutory liquidity ratio to adjust the quantum and price of money in the system. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And on to the other top story. The University Grants Commission, or the UGC, has warned varsities and colleges against the retention of original documents of admitted students and the non-refund of fees in case an admission is withdrawn within 1 month. The UGC said that the higher educational institutions will be penalized if they fail to follow the directive. Penalty included withdrawal of affiliation, deemed status and being barred from receiving any assistance from the UGC. HRD Minister Prakash Javadekar said that no students will be required to submit any original academic and personal certificate like mark sheet and school leaving certificate at the time of submission of admission form. He also added that the institution can only ask for self-attested copies of the documents. The minister said that in case of withdrawal of admission, institutions are liable to return between 50% to 100% of the amount, depending on when a student decides to vacate the seat.
एडमिशन क्लोज होने के पहले अगर 16 दिन और उससे ज़्यादा पहले ही बताएंगे कि मेरा एडमिशन कैंसिल कर रहा हूं, तो उसको 100% वापस मिलेंगे। अगर 15 दिन के भीतर वो बताएंगे, एडमिशन क्लोज होने से पहले 15 दिन और कम दिन यानी 10 दिन पहले बताएंगे वगैरह, तो उसको 90% वापस मिलेंगे। अब ये नया नियम डाला है। एडमिशन क्लोज होने के बाद 15 दिन में करेंगे एडमिशन कैंसिल, तो उसको 80% वापस मिलेगी परीक्षा।
And Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu has called for a need to develop a fascination for rural services. Attending the 34th convocation of the Gandhi Gram Rural Institute in Tamil Nadu, he said there is a need to bridge the urban-rural divide by providing urban amenities in rural areas. Presenting degrees to the students, he asked the teachers, doctors, engineers and other professionals to take pride and prestige in serving in rural areas. And also remembering Mahatma Gandhi, he said that his thoughts are eternal and immortal and would be relevant irrespective of the times.
The rural development should become a fascination. Everybody must be able to say, yes, I served in rural areas, I did social work, I was a teacher in a rural area, I was a doctor in rural area, I was a scientist in rural area, I was a professor in rural area, I did this, that and all. Everybody should proudly say it. Even if you go abroad, you want to go abroad, go, learn, yearn and return and then serve your birthplace, your native place.
And Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Wednesday said that the BJP's agenda is to work for the welfare of the people, interacting with the party workers from Agra, Damoh, Karoli, Dholpur, Mysuru and Raipur Lok Sabha seats through the Narendra Modi app on Wednesday. Prime Minister Modi accused the Congress of dividing the society for the benefit of one family. And during the interaction, he also took a dig at the opposition over its efforts to form a Mahagathbandhan against the BJP, saying that they are uniting for the sole purpose of removing him and not for the benefit of the people. He asserted that the BJP always stayed in touch with the people and the common man on the ground.
सुख बांटने से बढ़ता है, ऐसा हमारे शास्त्रों में कहा गया है। लेकिन कांग्रेस पार्टी को भारत की संस्कृति, भारत की परंपरा से कोई लेना देना नहीं है, और इसलिए सुख बांटने की बात वो समझ ही नहीं पाए और उन्होंने रास्ता पकड़ लिया समाज बांटो। हम सुख बांटने वाले हैं, वे समाज बांटने वाले हैं। हमें सुख बांट करके हर किसी की जिंदगी में सुख लाने का प्रयास करना है। उनको समाज बांट करके खुद के परिवार, खुद के नेताओं का भला करने का उनका सपना है।
And the Uttar Pradesh government has said that it will soon set up an institute for political training. The institute will come up in Ghaziabad. The decision to establish a sprawling political training institute at a cost of 198 crore rupees was taken at the state cabinet meeting chaired by Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath on Wednesday. The state government also made a provision of 50 crore rupees for the first phase of the institute. Now, this will be a first of its kind institute in the country. The courses are being designed for the institute and it will impart training to those planning entry in politics and also to the elected representatives. The courses would cover practical training, laws, behavior and other aspects of politics. External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj will attend a two-day conclave of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization in Tajik capital Dushanbe beginning today. The conclave is expected to focus on boosting cooperation in fighting terrorism, besides deliberating on pressing regional and global issues. The meeting of the SCO's Council of Heads of Government is also likely to review the situation in Syria, Afghanistan and the Korean Peninsula. It will be the second CHG meeting since India became a full member of the SCO in June 2017. The MEA said that the leaders will be discussing prospects for further development of SCO and exchange in-depth views on current international and regional issues. And Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will be reaching France today for a 3-day visit, during which both the sides are expected to deliberate on boosting further the defence and security ties. Sitharaman's France visit comes in the backdrop of the controversy over the procurement of 36 Rafale fighter jets from French aerospace major Dassault Aviation. Now, sources say that Sitharaman will hold wide-ranging talks with her French counterpart Florence Parly on ways to deepen strategic cooperation between the two countries and also deliberate on major regional and global issues of mutual interest. She will also take stock of the progress in the supply of 36 Rafale jets by Dassault to the Indian Air Force. In their talks, the two leaders are also expected to deliberate on joint production of military platforms and weapons by the two countries. Let's get you all the international news now. At least one person is dead and hundreds of thousands of homes are without power after Hurricane Michael made a landfall on the Florida Panhandle on Wednesday afternoon. The most powerful hurricane ever to hit northwest Florida has flooded beach towns, submerging homes and snapping trees. Florida Governor Rick Scott warned of unimaginable devastation, saying that it would be the worst storm in 100 years. More than 370,000 people in Florida were ordered to evacuate. And states of emergency have been declared in all parts of Florida, Alabama, Georgia and North Carolina. Forecasters have warned parts of Florida could experience storm surges of up to 14 feet and also flash floods from up to 12 inches of rain. Schools and colleges in the area are to remain shut this week, and Florida has also activated 3,500 National Guard troops. Michael is the third most powerful storm ever to make landfall in the mainland U.S. after Hurricane Camille in Mississippi in 1969 and the Labor Day hurricane of 1935 in Florida.
Hurricane Michael is the worst storm that the Florida Panhandle has ever seen, and one of the worst power storms to ever make landfall in the United States. We heard of significant impacts at Tyndall Air Force Base and many communities along the coast. As Hurricane Michael continues its destructive path through the Panhandle and leaves our state, we're turning 100% of our focus on search and rescue and recovery.
All the sporting action now. Ace Indian shooter Saurabh Chaudhary won gold medal in the 10 meters air pistol event in the ongoing Youth Olympic Games. Saurabh shot 244.2 to finish on the top of the podium ahead of South Korea's Seung Hoo Ho, while Switzerland's Solari Jason bagged the bronze medal with 215.6 points. And in table tennis, Archana Kamath settled for bronze medal after losing her match 1-4 to Romania's Andrea Dragoman in the women's singles bronze medal playoff. Archana was the first Indian paddler to reach the semi-final of the Youth Olympics. And India's medal tally increased to 37 with 7 gold, 13 silver and 17 bronze at the Asian Para Games in Jakarta. In table tennis, Bhavina Patel and Sonal Patel won silver in the women's double table tennis event, while Vijay Kumar won another silver for India in the men's long jump event. And earlier, Harvinder Singh clinched the gold medal in the para archery event to become the first Indian to win a gold medal in the event. Harvinder defeated China's Zhao Lixiu 6-0 in the final. While in the men's discus throw F11 category, Monu Ghangras claimed the silver medal, while Mohammad Yasir fetched a bronze medal in the men's shot put category. And Narayan Thakur clinched the gold medal in the men's T35 100 meters dash. Thakur finished the 100 meters final in 14.02 seconds. And India's junior men's hockey team qualified for the final of the ongoing Sultan of Johor Cup hockey tournament. The men in blue defeated defending champions Australia 5-4 to qualify for the final for the 5th time. Now, India is at the top of the table with the 12 points after 4 matches, and India will next face Great Britain in the final on Friday. And early in the tournament, the men in blue defeated Japan 1-0, Malaysia 2-1 and New Zealand 7-1. And that's the wrap on this edition of Breakfast News. Have a great day ahead.